NBC News has declared the apparent winner in the Kentucky governor's race is Democrat Andy Beshear, upsetting and ousting incumbent Republican Governor Matt Bevin. Again, it's a very close race. You see there the difference of less than 7,000 votes.
Tonight, voters in Kentucky sent a message loud and clear for everyone to hear. It's a message that says our elections don't have to be about right versus left. They are still about right versus wrong.
The Republicans put Donald Trump on the ballot today in Kentucky, and the Republicans lost.
You got to vote, because if you lose, it sends a really bad message. It just sends a bad, and they will build it up. Here's the story. If you win, they're going to make it like ho-hum. And if you lose, they're going to say Trump suffered the greatest defeat in the history of the world. This was the greatest. You can't let that happen to me.
I mean, for context here, President Trump won Kentucky by 30 points in 2016. It was his fifth best state, after only West Virginia, Wyoming, Oklahoma, and North Dakota. He won it by 30 points tonight after he spent the eve of Election Day in Kentucky polling for the Republican candidate there. The Republican governor appears to have lost.
I think, to me, in addition to the high turnout, it's the story of the night. It's sort of an extension of the national story we have been telling. We certainly saw this in 2018 in the midterm elections, why the Democrats were able to get that net gain of 40 seats. The suburbs moving away from the party of Donald Trump towards the Democratic Party. Yes, that's a story in Kentucky as well, and it's a story right here. These three counties in northern Kentucky, you see them kind of jutting out right there. Those three counties actually make up about 10% of the population of the state of Kentucky.
Let's send a message to Washington, to the other states, to the United States of America that Kentucky is leading the way and that we support the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Turns out that all the other Republican candidates did quite well. They swept all the other statewide races. We have the first Republican Attorney General in 70 years right now. It was just Matt Bevin couldn't survive.
Why nationalize this race so much and talk about President Trump so much?
I don't know if do you watch the news? The fact that you ask why this is being nationalized and why people are talking about President Trump would indicate to me that you really have sort of maybe come out from under a rock.
But you don't have
whether
a vote
we
on
talk about it or not.
I mean, we're talking about.
Is this a civics lesson now? You think I don't understand what the role is? Talk to the average person. Ask the next 100 people who come in here if they care about this impeachment process. And they will tell you, almost to a person, that they do. Because they find it to be a charade. It's an absolute sham.
For anybody that had listened to him on the stump, or listened to his campaign speeches, or listened to the TV commercials here, it has been about Donald Trump, impeachment, and about Donald Trump. Essentially, he has tried to nationalize this race. Well, as you look at Andy Beshear, he talked about education, talked about health care, talked about pension reform and jobs. He went with that approach, essentially separating himself. There were no national Democrats that came here to the state to campaign for Andy Beshear.
If I were Mitch McConnell tonight, I'd be a little concerned. If you look at what Donald Trump did in 2016, winning by 30, you look at what happened tonight, you look at your opponent, Amy McGrath, having outraised you in the third quarter, 10.7 million to about 7 million, and you look at your numbers and how you're underwater, and they really look like Matt Bevin's numbers. I think Mitch McConnell's not having a very good night tonight. Donald Trump certainly isn't having a good night tonight.
What is tonight's lesson in Kentucky for Republican senators?
It's a very ominous lesson for Republicans, and not just about President Trump. President Trump is an unpopular president, but he's heading an unpopular agenda.
As your next governor, I will listen more than I talk. I will work with anyone who has a good idea that we can deliver for Kentuckians. With all the partisan bickering and nastiness that we're seeing in politics, we have an opportunity to do better right here in Kentucky.